Yeah. Okay. So I you must have all read about the mail that was sent talking about the monthly meeting. Must have all already read about Poochie. Poochie Venkat was christened Poochie Venkat by the Tamil Nadu Forest Department when he was doing his research, as you all know. And he's got a book to his name, and there's Poochie for you. And I request our President, Mr. Sudhakar, to say a few words in introduction about Poochie, and then it's back to it's soon after the introduction. Poochie, you can begin. Request all members to put in all your questions. Wait for Poochie to complete. No interruption in between, please. And then um, any questions that you have, please enter it into the chat box. As soon as the Poochie's presentation is over, we will take up the questions in the chat box one by one, which has been our normal format. Sudhakar.
A very good morning, everybody. First of all, let me wish you a very happy New Year, and I wish you many hours of nature watching. Unlike last year, which was a trying year for naturalists who couldn't get out of their houses. And before I introduce Mr. Venkat, I will say only a few words because, yeah, very nice introduction has been sent to you by Mr. Vijay, who has done a nice introduction. I wanted to talk to you about the AWC, the annual, what used to be Midwinter Waterfowl Count has become AWC now. Madras Naturalist Society has been doing this from the 1980s onwards. So we are one of the earliest states to do this and give this data. Of course, this was anchored then by Dr. Santaram and C. Perano from Pondicherry. And of course, it was carried on by our own members, our late Mr. Raghuraman and Dr. Rajaram. I am very happy to say that Tamil Nadu is one of the states which provides much more data. It's among the top 3 states in India for providing AWC data to the AWC center. So this year also, it looks like we have got a very enthusiastic set of participants looking at from the teams that has been formed. We will come to Mr. Venkat. Mr. Poochie Venkat is an old friend of ours. He has been associated with the Madras Naturalist Society for many years, and you have read about his interest in insects from a very early age. And I would like to tell you that he was one of the earliest persons who created an awareness of insects among the lay public. Because when he started, I don't think many people were watching insects or they were looking at the beauty of the insects or appreciating the life cycles of the insects. But probably he changed all that single-handedly by his devotion to the excellent macro photography he did of the insects, and then appearing and talking about on many platforms about the beauty and the interesting lives of the insects, for which I think Poochie Venkat deserves a lot of praise, and we must be thankful to him for having created so much awareness of insects among members of not even Chennai, whole of Tamil Nadu now. A lot of things are happening now because of the initiative of Poochie Venkat when he introduced the insects, and he demonstrated to us the beauty of insects by his breathtaking photographs. I suggest that you look at his book to appreciate what I am saying. Poochie Venkat is a man of many parts. I would like to just tell you in passing that he is a railway enthusiast. He knows more about trains in India than probably is among the top persons who knows about the trains and railway history of India. And he is connected with the Indian Railways fan club, and which did service all over India, exploring the meter gauge trains and narrow gauge lines, and many of the lines which have become extinct now. And he knows a lot about the trains than many people will realize that he is an expert in that. If you if anybody goes to the railway station, Central Railway Station, you will see huge black and white photographs of stations and railways in the walls of the Central Railway Station. All these were sourced by Puchi Venkat and printed. And by the way, he is one of the topmost black and white printers. Not many people do prints of that size. So he is an expert black and white printer, which is of course a dying art now. He was also instrumental in getting priceless photographs of the trains, railway stations, and railway engines from the 1950s and 60s. He contacted somebody from Australia who used to live in Chennai, and then he sourced his negatives, and he has published, printed, and published several of these photographs. And of course, he is a very accomplished audio engineer, and he's got and he is an expert in conservation of photographs. All that is precise what he is doing. I don't know how he finds time for all these pursuits and interests, and how he has become an authority in many of these things. With that, I invite Mr. Puchi Venkat to enlighten us about the insects, the insect world in and around Chennai. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Sudhakar. Greetings to everyone in Madras Naturalist Society. I'm thrilled and, of course, a very happy New Year. And I'm also thrilled that I'm giving the first lecture for the New Year. And as Mr. Sudhakar had said, I think at the end of it, everybody might like to know what else am I doing and not talk about insects. So they'll say, can you talk about everything else that you do? Because we know you're interested in insects. Anyway, that's for a later session. So my association with even Vijay and Mr. Sudhakar said, my association with MNS goes back to almost 30 years. And I remembered coming into MNS because I had a lot of good friends here. And I remember from the time of Mr. Rajan, and then also the fact that we had this crazy slide projector where we had to keep switching slides left, right, left, right. We have all evolved. And right now we are on an online presentation. So Madras Naturalist Society has been, let's say, giving a lot of support to everything that I did. And most of the photographs I took in the initial days were all trips that I had made with MNS. And every time they went somewhere, they will all look at birds and I will quietly sneak away and look at insects. And the fun part is, at the end of maybe 2-3 hours when we all assembled back at our rest house, they might have slightly disappointing faces, or they might say that I have not been able to take many photographs. I got about 15 to 20 photographs, and they were all film rolls. But I will have a big smile on my face, and they'll say, "What are you smiling about?" And I remember, I think it was either I don't know, one of our members asking me, "You mean you have completed your film?" I said, "Yes, I've got at least 40, 50 pictures." I said, "Where did you find what?" I said, "I didn't go anywhere. Just around the rest house itself, I found all my subjects." So the interesting part is when everybody goes for a nature walk, I go for a nature crawl, because within a 10-foot length, you can find at least about maybe 200-300 insects, just 10 feet. So you can spend a whole day in one, maybe 10 square meters, and you'll get all the pictures that you want, all the information that you want about all the insects that you want. So I have, in the span of about the last 25 years that I've been working on, my emphasis has been on first show the beauty of these wonderful creatures. The same applies to any part of wildlife. Once people see the beauty and they see them in the natural setting, in fact, I was influenced a lot in my macro photography by all the amazing photographs of birds taken by all our MNS members. I was always keen on seeing how do they position themselves, how do they know when the bird is going to fly, how do they know exactly what background to include. Because if you photograph just the bird's face, it's not as impressive as a bird sitting beautifully on a lofty tree. And the initial, the initial attraction towards the type of photography that was done all came from within our group. So that way, I think it has been a wonderful, what do you say, journey through the last 25 years. So my first emphasis was on showing the beauty. From there, try to tell them, if you also want to see the beauty of these creatures, why don't you just come along with me? Let me show it to you in the natural surroundings. So, which is why when people show me a pinned insect all looking brown color, I'm not very impressed because all the insects look brown. So, without much further ado, I will just begin with my set of pictures. I'll go through them quite fast because I've got a lot to share with you. So let's begin by sharing the screen. Okay, here we go. Then I say F5. Okay, so let's begin. I mean, that's why I automatically call it the magical world of insects, because there is something absolutely magical in the way these creatures are evolved, and also the fact that there's so much of variety to be seen. And it so happens that when the word Poochie comes in, it's sort of limited to only this area. So I tell them, every language has got its own word for what you call this. So when I say the Poochies, that is because in one of the surveys inside the Gindi National Park, I was on a project, from an NGO, and we were concentrating. Me and my team members were concentrating only on insects, and because of that, it so happened that they said Poochi sir vandirukkaru ulla vidunga, Poochi sir vandirukkaru ulla vidunga, because the guards found it very amusing that somebody here is concentrating only on insects. There are so many birds flying around so much, but nobody's bothered, and I was only concentrating on insects. So that name Poochi came from those forest guards, and that was way back in 1998, and it stuck with me. And the interesting part is today, even if I walk into Gindi National Park, those guards are there, but of course they have been elevated to a senior guard or a senior inspector or however. But they still, greet me and say, Poochi sir, eppadi irkeenga? So 30 years, almost 1998 to 2018, 30 years, 20 years down the line, it's amazing that, that sort of thing is done. So the point here is, how do you show something that is totally out of the ordinary? The main thing here is the timing. The main thing here is the patience. See, if you're able to go after a tiger or one of those elusive big creatures, you spend a lot of money, you take a jeep, you patiently wait for the animal to show itself. But when people shoot macro, they expect it immediately to come and immediately to come in front of them and dance so that they can take a picture and they'll go away. They say, I have 2 hours. In 2 hours, I want to capture as many insects as possible. No, it's not going to happen. In 2 hours, you may capture only one insect. The same attitude that you have for shooting larger creatures, that's the same attitude you must have for shooting smaller ones. As an example, when I was actually going, to tell you the truth, Mr. Sudhakar was talking about being a rail fan. I'm also a very avid plane spotter. And we go every Sunday, every Saturday. Sometimes we go on top of St. Thomas Mount or we go near Pallavaram and we spot all the aircraft, and we make notes of which aircraft is going where and what is the registration number and why it's coming to Chennai. So this photograph, when I was climbing St. Thomas Mount, actually to capture two new aircraft that were due in Chennai, I was just walking across and suddenly this amazingly beautiful creature came in. I immediately stopped and started taking pictures, and my friend started joking. "திருப்பி பூச்சி ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டியா? பூச்சி எடுக்க ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டியா?" Then I said, yes, Pucci and planes are both equally important to me. You never know where you'll find what. That is the interesting part. And the main thing is, though I know all the scientific names of all these creatures, though I know the common name for all these creatures, my intention is not to impress you with my knowledge. My job is to tell you, please look around, be observant, don't see, observe. Wherever you look, you'll find some fantastic creature waiting for you to identify itself. So, like some of the other students asked me, they challenged me by saying, "Do you know the scientific name for all these creatures?" I said, "I almost know almost all the names." But the point is, are you there to capture the picture at the right moment? So if you take a look at these ants, they were just walking up and down the parapet wall of my house. So what I did was I just said, I'm going to capture you guys one day. So I just put the camera right in the path of the ants, and they came to the lens. They were a little confused as to what is this new creature or new object in their path. And while they were waiting to contemplate whether they should climb on top of it or whether eat it up or whatever it is, I just clicked the picture. It's more of a timing. It's more of the patience. It's more of watching what is happening around you. Like this amazing, what do you say, Trithemis. I mean, this is the, what do you say, Crimson Marsh Glider. The interesting part is this one made me wait for 15 to 20 minutes before it allowed me to take a shot. You know, when I lifted the camera, it used to fly off. When I put my camera down, it came and sat over there. This tussle went on for almost 15 minutes. And I was talking to the dragonfly all the time saying, I am not going to leave this place until you allow me to take a picture. Finally, after about the 15th minute, I think the dragonfly said, this poor fellow, I have teased him enough, let us give a picture. So that is precisely how this thing happened. The same for all this. And you know, the most interesting part is most of these photographs have been taken around Chennai. Can you believe that, you know, when we go around looking for different creatures, you have so many wonderful birds, you have so many wonderful other creatures. You have not yet got a tiger in Chennai. That's the only thing that's left. I think Chennai has got absolutely brilliant locations, absolutely great. It's just that you have to step out and explore. Like this famous Coromandel marsh dart, which was there everywhere, and it's called Coromandel marsh dart in the honor of the fact that it's found mostly on the Coromandel coast. Or an amazing, let us say, robber fly here, which is more, what do you say, aerodynamic than the dragonfly. Everybody thinks the dragonfly is aerodynamic, but this tab is more aerodynamic because it can fly backwards, forwards in any direction. It can even fly upside down. And I've got a picture of it flying upside down. I'll have to search my archives where it has gone upside down just to capture another insect to eat it up. And to think of the size, this entire insect that you see here, along with the wasp that it is eating, is exactly 1 centimeter. It's only 10 millimeters. In the 10 millimeters, you see all the details that you want. And a most beautiful creature, the stream glory. Of course, there are 2, 3 pictures that I've obviously taken outside Chennai, but I wanted to include it because of the difficulty in capturing these. This creature is so delicate, and believe it or not, I think I'm the only guy who uses a 500 millimeter telephoto lens to shoot insects. It was hilarious because I find a lot of people carrying these big lenses to photograph birds, but I'm the only person who will take the same lens and photograph an insect across the road. And it is always a source of what do you say, humor and fun for people to say, நீ அவங்ககிட்ட எந்த லென்ஸை கொடுத்தாலும் அவன் அந்த பூச்சியை தான் போட்டோ எடுப்பான் நீ பாருன்னு சொல்லி. This picture was taken with a 500 millimeter Nikon lens, by the way, just to add to the humor. So this was across the lake. It was actually across the river that was flowing, and you can see the out of focus water in the background. And Mr. Sudhakar was also highlighting the fact that I conserve old photographs. So I also want to tell you that some of the pictures that I'm showing here are 25 years old, and they're all from negatives that I have conserved and digitized. So here's a classic example of one of them. This is the Tussar silk moth, the male. And the point here is this is taken 25 years ago from a negative. And you can see that it looks as good as, if not better than, a digital photograph. Okay, you can see the quality, you can see the detail that has been captured from the negative. So this is also the sort of work I do to conserve old pictures. I have to start with my own collection first, which spans into hundreds and quite much more than that. And uh, most of the creatures are very active at night. So like I told you, MNS has been a source of great help because most of the surveys that I did were through MNS. So this was also a survey done in the Kalakshatra campus when we were, doing that survey. And here is a hawk moth right in the middle of the night. This one I remember was taken at about 2 o'clock in the morning. The guards, security in Kalakshatra became mad. They said, "Sir, உங்களுக்கெல்லாம் தூக்கமே வராதா?" I said, "பூச்சி தூக்கம் வரலன்னா நானும் தூங்க மாட்டேன். எப்போ பூச்சி தூங்குறதோ அப்பதான் நானும் தூங்குவேன்." And they finally gave up saying, இவன் சரியான பைத்தியம்னு சொல்லிட்டு they just left it out. That was the fun part of it. And you know, when you're talking about composition, when you're talking about the beauty of nature, nature has its own composition. And I teach photography to graduate students where I emphasize a lot in composition of the photograph. But look at this. There's this absolutely brilliant green moth sitting on an absolutely fantastic gray wall. And I did not tilt the picture to make the moth sit like this. The moth was naturally sitting at an angle, and it made such a beautiful, composition where it is sitting on the right one third. Okay, I'll not get into too much of photographic jargon here, but this is one of the most perfect compositions which nature provided me, and I was very lucky to go and sit over there. And so the sheer color of the creature is absolutely brilliant, and that is what amazes me. Like if you take this Luna moth that I photographed in top slip, the rarity of the creature. Well, of course, there have been reports that this moth has been seen in Chennai also. We just have to get a confirmation that it was really seen. But I'll be very happy if creatures are seen in our area because it only adds to the beauty of the biodiversity. Again, this picture is from 20, 30 years back, way back in, yeah, it would be about 20 years back when I was working in top slip on a project for the forest department. And these creatures were there just after the monsoon, and what a delight. And I have still preserved, of course, the next day morning, one of the birds had eaten it up, completely eaten it up. Only the wings were left. I have still preserved the wing with me. I've just neatly labeled it and kept it over there. But you don't have to go to top slip. Back in my house, I found this amazing owl moth, the Spirama. Just look at that. It is in my house, in my door, and luckily, thanks to my sort of digging into the heads of everybody around, don't do anything to insects. The maid came and said, "Sir, anga ஒண்ணு உட்கார்ந்திருக்கு sir." Luckily, she said, "anga ஒண்ணு உட்கார்ந்திருக்கு," and she had a incredulous look on her face. And when I went there, what did I see? But I went into raptures. So obviously, my maid would have thought இது சரியான கேஸ். இது பூச்சியை பார்த்து மகிழறது இந்த ஒரு ஆள் தான் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு, luckily she didn't destroy it or hit it or anything. But the Spirama came around. What an amazing owl moth. Just look at the patterns. Which graphic designer on this planet can ever design something like this? That is the sheer beauty of the creatures. Talking about beauty and ugliness, well, you could call this beauty and ugly. A litchi bug, which I found in, let us say, the Kotrapuram tree park. The interesting part is the adult is not so as beautiful as the nymph. So this is the nymph that is growing halfway through. But at the end of the presentation, let me tell you what I've actually been doing with all these photographs. Of course, our Ponvandu, the famous Ponvandu that goes around everywhere. In Tamil, the interesting part is, the details are given, but some words are quite common. So when I asked some of the villagers, they said, yes, the beetles and the bugs, they're both called Vandu, but villagers have enough knowledge to identify and separate what is a bug and what is a beetle. So this is a lovely, and what I found was you have the golden yellow color on the back. The golden yellow color signifies two things. One is the atmospheric conditions and conditions of nature are so good that this particular specimen has developed that orange color. It means it is fully grown, it is fully mature. If the weather conditions are not good, or if there's a lot of pollution in the atmosphere, they will not have this absolutely golden yellow. They will have green with a slight tinge of yellow, but not this level of golden yellow. So this also proves that Chennai's weather conditions are definitely improving in spite of the population, in spite of the pollution around. There are certain pockets in Chennai that are absolutely beautiful. Like you can see this really golden, real Ponvand. And the cycle of life continues. So I was lucky to see this bug, molting. It has just come out. You can see how fresh, like this, fresh from the farm, freshly molted bug. You know, does it sound delicious or something? Well, maybe something like eating up the bug. The interesting part is the photograph and the timing. A bright red bug in a beautifully green background. That is the most interesting part. How can something as yucky as a bug be shown so beautifully? So your timing and your observation is what counts. It's most of the colors, rich colors that are available to you. And well, if you look very carefully, you will notice that there is actually a smaller bug on the left. Okay, I will try to move my cursor. If you can all follow my cursor, I was actually photographing this assassin bug which is sitting over here, which is not supposed to be on the Tridax at all. Quite strange. But to my luck, the moment I was photographing this nice big bee came and sat over there, as if to say, "Hey, I'm giving you a chance to photograph me. Click a picture because I'm going to fly away." That is exactly what happened. It came, it saw, it conquered. It sort of, it conquered my heart. What a lovely position! It just came there. The wings are open. It took the honey, it took the nectar, and then off it was, completely gone. And the pollen grains, you can see entirely everything sticking there. And this was again in Chennai, inside the Stella Maris campus. So you see the number of places in Chennai that are so beautiful and conducive to all these amazing creatures. You go to the other side, you have a beautiful trophobiotic symbiotic relationship. I have another picture of this, the ant and the bug. Okay, but I've got an interesting picture like this. So you can imagine how small these creatures are. They're hardly 3-4 millimeters. You can see by the stalk of this plant how close we have actually gone to this. It's again the timing. Both of these creatures were aware of my presence and they were trying to hide from me, so I started hiding myself. I mimicked a plant, so I was hiding behind a plant with the leaves in front of me, and these creatures thought I was just a leaf. If I could become a leaf, why not? And there were these beautiful small bees, really small bees, which are floating around. This is actually the cannonball flower, which was growing in my office area. And there was this lovely, bee that was coming and just hovering around, very, very tiny bees, extremely small bees. But when you take a close up picture, you just see how beautiful the scene becomes. How amazingly fantastic that yellow color of the anthers, the stamens, the still everything adds to the quality of the picture. Amazing. And on the totally opposite side, look at that camouflage. Look at that mimic. Look at that camouflage. Can you believe that you are actually looking at a praying mantis right here? He's right there in the center. And you can see the way he's folded the body onto himself. It's actually a she. And it has folded its, let us say, the hands in front, the legs. Just look at that amazing. Well, it cannot fool me because my eyesight has improved so much from seeing. I've gone to observation. And thanks to all the trips that I've made, and thanks to all the observations, I can easily see what you call your visual acuity improves so much just by looking at these insects. Well, here is an ant mimic mantis. I have to say that the truth, because people get so amazed that why are you photographing an ant? I said no, it's not an ant. It's actually a mantis. You look very closely, you can see that it's actually folded its hands. And I just wanted the silhouette to be created, which is why I gave it a monochrome effect here. Of course, I had an exhibition in where I had printed all these pictures and put it in. I hope that in future we'll have another exhibition soon when things are opening up much better. Talking about mantids, look at the way, ants are probably the most mimicked creatures. You have an ant mimic spider, you have an ant mimic mantis, you have all these crazy creatures that are going around everywhere. Then there's this painted grasshopper. The interesting thing in nature is the more colorful the subject, the more dangerous it is. So sometimes I joke, if you see anybody brightly dressed walking on the road, please be careful of them. Don't go too close. So this is one of those milkweed grasshoppers that are completely filled with toxic materials. That is why it's got these gay colors. Just look at the body color, look at the wings. What amazing camouflage. There are other simple grasshoppers that keep hopping away. So this guy was trying to hop away from me, and you see it was hiding behind the leaf. So I pretended to hide. I went under the leaf, and this grasshopper was trying to look over the leaf to see whether I'm still hiding behind the leaf or not. And you can see him just peeping over the edge of the leaf. That is precisely how I got this picture. So we were actually, for about 5-10 minutes, both of us were playing hide and seek until I got the perfect picture. Here's another grasshopper that is doing the same thing, trying to escape from me. And of course, everybody says, can't you show butterflies every now and then? I tell them, look, butterflies are not the only insects in the world. But they say it's so beautiful. I said, that is your perception. Of course, a butterfly can be beautiful, but so can other creatures also. Anyway, to make people happy, I keep introducing a butterfly every now and then. What an amazing combination. Look at the graphic design. Would anybody make a sari out of this? Would anybody make a nice shirt pattern out of this? And we can make millions. Just look at the amazing patterns. Caterpillars can be equally beautiful. Caterpillars are such fantastic. Of course, if you go to the farmer, he's going to scream his head off saying caterpillars are really destructive. But the interesting part is it is a beautiful cycle of life. Caterpillars make food for other parasitic wasps. If time permits, I have a couple of videos that I would also like to show you of a parasitic wasp that is there, stunning, uh, um, let's say, a caterpillar and taking it away. I do have a video of that which I would like to share. As I went on photographing this, also a few pictures of some of these small, objects. Yeah, you will get the sound of the cooker. Please don't mind that. That's my food getting ready. These small, beautiful flowers that are there, Vishnu Kranti, that is all around the place. And a most elusive insect. You have this amazing ant lion, and finding the adult is very difficult because they're all nocturnal creatures. They're all nocturnal creatures. And I was blessed, that is the word I'll use. I was actually blessed to see this full grown adult. And the interesting part is adults normally don't grow to this size unless the weather conditions as well as the area is very beautiful and full of healthy food. This is again in South Chennai. And just look at the beauty of this creature, just like a queen wearing a cloak. Just like a queen wearing a cloak. And so that is absolutely beautiful. And I was really lucky to get the adult of this antlion sitting right over there. What an amazing creature. And of course, one of these plant hoppers, beautiful plant hoppers that are there. Just look, it looks like almost Wedgwood pottery or Delft pottery. Almost looks like the Delft pottery that they just look. And the best part is this whole insect is only 5 millimeters from the tip of its legs to the tip of its wings. It is only 5 millimeters. In 5 millimeters, just look at the beauty that you can get, which is there. That's exactly what it is. And here is another amazing this thing. This is again on one of the MNS trips that we went to Kerala, and it is a nymph of a katydid. It's a nymph of a katydid. Well, all of you have heard of mosquitoes. Actually, let us say, well, is there a mosquito that doesn't have to bite? Is there a mosquito that does not, sting people or bite them? Yes, this is one of those mosquito relatives that have no mouth parts at all. These creatures grow only for a day. They actually are in the larval stage for 3 months. They're in the larval stage for 3 months. They're actually alive as adult only for a day. So in the evenings, when you go near a pond, you'll get a full cloud of these creatures, just coming out of the water. And that is precisely these creatures coming out. They mate and they die. And while they're all coming, all the other creatures like bats, like all, dragonflies, damselflies, all these fellows are moving around there just to eat them up. That's exactly what it is. And another most elusive creature, which is the jewel fly, or what we call the dolicho fly, equally, what do you say, running around. And it's really difficult to get a picture of this just like that. We had to lay in wait. Well, how can you forget spiders? In fact, spiders are the ones that inspired me to take up macro photography in the beginning. And it was so wonderful that these creatures are absolutely a delight. So when you say poochies, Tamil வந்து செலந்தி பூச்சி, anything that's a creepy crawly is called a poochi. So செலந்தி பூச்சி is what they call it. So I also just use that, and just take the picture. One of the most perfect odd weavers. Can you believe there's a spider that walks on water? So just look at that. Look at the way this creature floats itself on the water surface. And this wolf spider runs around and starts eating everything on the surface of the water. Wow. What an amazing idea to do that. Well, we are talking about mimicry. We are talking about camouflage. Now, can you tell which is the spider and which is the ant? I leave it for you to guess what it is. And well, talking about the size of the creatures, you just look at how small the spider, because that's actually my 2 fingers. And I was actually wiggling my upper finger to distract the spider while I took a photograph with my right hand. So it's a single-handed photograph that I took. So this picture is also about 20 years old. I shot this in 1998 or 99 when I was on a trip to the Topslip area. What an amazingly colorful gun. You can imagine how small it is. How small can that be? Well, this is the Thrombidium grandissimum, one of the thrombidid, what do you say, mites, or it is called the giant velvet mite. It is a great friend of the. It is a great friend of the earthworm. So this creature and the earthworm are continuously turning soil, and they're all subterranean. But when it rains very heavily, all of them come out. Interesting part is this is very proteinaceous, and in Madhya Pradesh, they dig this by the hundreds, and they roast them. They put it in bottles and sell it at 150 rupees a kg. So these youngsters have no access to protein. Can you believe it? So they collect this just like moongfali, just like peanuts. they put it in a paper cone. They keep on eating it. So this is actually a staple food for most of the tribals in Madhya Pradesh. Amazing this thing. And the great story of our very own Madras insect. So I'll summarize the story by saying that this creature was discovered in Fort St. George in 1778. And it is the domino cockroach. It is not a beetle or it's not a bug. And the interesting part is, when you say naturalist, what I like about being a naturalist is you don't have to be a qualified scientist at all. Are you interested in nature? That is all. So the interesting part here is this was discovered inside Fort St. George by the accountant of Fort St. George. So what was an accountant doing? He's supposed to be looking at, 3 plus 2 is equal to 8 and 5 plus 10 is equal to 23 and, do all those things. But he was actually a naturalist. And, everybody was a naturalist in the old days because they had a lot of interest in nature. So when the accountant saw these beautifully spotted creatures scurrying around the floor of the moat and the floor of the ground, he caught them and took them to James Petiver. Dr. James Petiver was the official physician of Fort St. George. So James Petiver made an analysis and sent the data to England, where it was identified as a totally new species on this planet. So uh, to honor uh, James Petiver, the name Petiveriana was given. So Tevesia petiveriana is the name of this creature. So it is the great Madras cockroach. I'm really proud about the fact that Madras has lent itself to actually, I would say, finding something new for science. Really proud about that. So it's a cockroach, by the way, not anything else. Some of the areas that I visited, I thought I'll share the pictures. Again, I think most of the MNS members will recognize these locations. And just look at how beautiful these locations are. And in these locations, I find an amazing spider, which is the ornate web spider or Herenia ornatissima. And you see, the small orange creature is the male, and the big one is the female. So there's a lot of sexual dimorphism in spiders. And here you can clearly see how it is. Well, if you want to know where this is taken, can you believe that Chennai, the city itself, has got these amazing locations? Well, everybody would identify this as Nanmangalam, our very own Adayar Punga, and the wonderful Gindi National Park. And all these places are where I keep prowling around and I keep inhabiting these places, or going there to see what it is. And I found these beautiful baby grasshoppers that are just hatched. They're all less than 4 millimeters, 3 millimeters. They're extremely small creatures. And you can see that they're just hatched and they're molded to the first stage, and they're just walking around, moving around, trying to hide from my light. Well, the story of the 500 millimeter lens. So the joke is that we were trying out the new 500 lens in Pallikarne because my friend had got the new lens and he said, let us go for some bird photography. And while he was talking on the mobile phone with his office, I grabbed that lens and the camera, and all I did was to photograph the butterfly. And as usual, he was absolutely amazed. He said, I've got this expensive 500 millimeter telephoto lens, and all you do is to photograph insects. I said, what do you mean all? And then when he looked at the picture, he said, it's amazing. Where did you find this? And believe it or not, this Tawny Coster was right across the road. And being a 500 lens, which was so big, I could easily take all these insects across the road in such beautiful closeness. So, what about telephoto lenses? They're all there to help us. Well, the interesting fly, which is always there, a fly on the wall or fly on the leaf, and a very beautiful creature, but sort of an enemy of the farmer because this totally ruins sandalwood trees. And here is an amazing mimicry going on, the Bathian mimicry, where this one actually mimics a bee, and thereby it's not eaten by the birds. So this is one of the Amata moths, the Amata passalis. I have one more, and look at what we have done. As we were denuding the forests, the Amata moth is forced to come into our house. And this was actually laying eggs right on my parapet wall. And I have a lovely video which I'll try to show later, where these eggs have hatched into small larvae, and how the larva grew. After that, larva disappeared because overnight they migrated to various parts of my garden. I'm not sure whether they grew into the moths or whether they were eaten by other creatures. But here is a lovely, what do you say, scene of the female, the moth laying the eggs so beautifully. Well, look at the beauty of the spider along with this. The lines of the blade of grass and the black and white of the spider, that is what amazed me. The quality of the beauty, the graphic design, that is what is important here. Well, we know what the spider is. Well, talking about, I'll go to the next picture first. Well, this is a mantis, Gongylus gongyloides, which is our Indian violin mantis. But when I go back to the previous picture, just look at where this guy is sitting. Well, if you're, of course, Vijay, I'm sure that you're recording this whole program. I'm just going to go to my slides. I hope that you'll go back to the YouTube program in a bit to identify where the insect is sitting and which part of the insect is what. What are the legs? What are the, so that is a riddle for later. Since it's available on YouTube, we can always go back to that and see it. This is the front of the insect. Okay, by looking at all these pictures, you know where all these animation artists from Star Wars and Star Trek, they're all getting their inspiration from all these photographs. And I'm sure that they all secretly look at all our macro photographs, say, okay, the next creature for Star Wars is going to look like this. This could very well be an animation from Star Wars. Well, look at the camouflage. Insects and all these creepy crawlies are experts in camouflage. So towards the end of my presentation, I want to show you some of these pictures where you have the spider so beautifully camouflaged against the bark. Again, another riddle for all of you. There is a spider hiding in the leaf. If you look very, very carefully, you will find it, but I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to tell you where it is. There is a spider that is actually right here in between the leaf. I let you, this is a riddle for you to go back to the YouTube recording and see if you can spot that. And look at this, a crazy creature. If you look at it, suddenly you'll think it's an ant, but it is not. And I have trained myself enough to find out how it moves. So you'll never be able to find out exactly whether it's an ant or a spider, but this actually is a spider. So if you look carefully, you see 8 legs. Insects have 6 legs, so that's what it is. But look at where the spider has completely made itself to look like an ant. And I have got a video where the ant and its spider that looks like the same ant are right next to each other, and the ant and the spider are not looking at you; they're just separate anyway. So that is for a later stage. This is to show you how small can the spiders get. So if you look very carefully in this picture, there is this amazingly beautiful Thomasid spider sitting over there. Just look how small it is. The flower itself is only 2 inches long. The flower itself is only this much. You can imagine how small this is. And that small creature is able to capture insects and make a meal out of them. Wow. And the same color. That is what is interesting. Talking about color, this very interesting but rare shot of the spider eating up a butterfly. And you see the spider was hiding inside the rocks. And when I was trying to photograph the butterfly, the spider went for it. And all of you know that this is a small gas blue, and you just see how small this is and how small the spider is. And fatak, just like that, the spider went for it. Nature is amazing. Look at the timing. Well, there is an interesting connection between this Jatropha plant because you can be sure that the next creature that you'll find in the Jatropha plant is this beautiful spider. You just see how fantastic it looks. And a lot of people ask me, did you photograph this for the spider or did you photograph this for the plant? I said, for me, the spider is more important. I must admit that, this photograph was printed and people purchased this picture because I'm so happy that this picture was purchased because people saw the beauty of the spider and the flower. I call this the Yamaha insect because you take a good look at this, you will notice that this is the petrol tank, fuel tank, this is the headlight, and this is the seat, the handlebar is here, and these are all the tires. So, sometimes I wonder when these designers are actually designing these bikes, I'm sure that they're all looking at my macro photographs and designing bikes. If you take a look at the Duke KTM, it looks like a wasp. It's got a triangular headlight. What more, let's say, respect than to copy the insects and do that. Just look at the camouflage, just look at the patterns. Can you ever create a beautiful pattern like this? How beautiful it is. And this spider went and sat on this leaf and just waited long enough for me to take a picture. And most amazing tiger beetles, this is an indication of very good ecosystems. If a tiger beetle is there, it's an indicator of a very good ecosystem, and I'm very happy to say that this was right in Chennai, the heart of Chennai. This is there. And a lovely digger wasp almost looks like Batman. If you look very carefully, it almost looks like Batman. Just look at the patterns. That is what amazed me. Again, one of those very nasty, when I say nasty to taste, what do you say, grasshoppers, which clearly says that don't come near me because I'm so colorful that I'm poisonous. That is the interesting part. I'm just using a common word. But again, these are all amazing creatures. Just look at the patterns: red and cyan, totally opposite colors of the spectrum, and also a lovely fungus growing right out of the debris. These are all the macro things that happen. And towards the end of my presentation, just a few slides left, where I started experimenting with different types of macro photography over the last few months, where I decided that in the beginning, macro photography was all about perfection. Everything should be in focus, everything should be clear, this, that, etc., etc. I said I'm going to totally break the convention which I've always been doing. And the fact that I started macro photography itself was breaking the convention of the old days. So this is an example where I just went and sat in this field. Believe it or not, it's in the middle of Taramani, right next to Asian College of Journalism. There is an open ground where you have a lot of these tridacts growing, lot of bushes and plants growing. I just went and sat right in the middle of these, took my lens and just started shooting. And this amazing picture came about. And believe it or not, this picture also got sold. I think people love the beauty. It looks like a painting. It looked like a painting at the back, and that's exactly what happened. That is why people purchase this picture, because they loved that beautiful painted nature that you get. I think that's where I saw the beauty. Just like this amazing blue pansy that was sitting right there, and right, that beautiful golden glow. Just look at the weaver ant. Same thing here. And one of those, what do you say? After I took this picture, I noticed that there was this, wasp that was trying to hitch a ride on this, what do you say, grasshopper, hitch a ride. A lovely skipper, a really crazy, what do you say, beetle right here. Just look at the crazy, what do you say, snout and all those things over there. Look at that amazing red color, and the spots a dead giveaway as to what it is. Look at the colors. You take this grasshopper, it has got the exact colors of what you find in this, the twig. Same yellow, the same green, the same brown. Well, it cannot fool me. I can easily spot it, whatever it is, but just look at the colors. I think it's absolutely fantastic the way nature mimics these colors. Obviously, nobody eats this up. And this, I tell you, insects are constantly evolving. This is a picture I took just 4 days back. Just 4 days ago, around Chennai in Kalakshetra campus, I took this crazy insect. What is it? It looks like as if one of those beautiful, Rajas dressed in lovely dhoti and walking around. Just look at this creature. How amazingly beautiful can it get? And it was right there. And even after 25 years, we are still discovering new creatures, completely new. And this is exactly what I was waiting for to show you. This beautiful trophobiotic relationship between the Camponotus and the Leptocentris. And you see the drop of honeydew there. So this is a beautiful relationship where this is protecting this. This one drinks the sap and exits the honeydew, which the ants take and then use it for their own. We also collect honeydew because honeydew is very important for makeups. Honeydew is very important for all those creams. So that's exactly what it is. Again, what a amazing composition in terms of the way the creatures were sitting. And I was lucky that I was there at that point. And to tell you the truth, this total length of the Leptocentris, the cow bug, and the ant was exactly 7 millimeters. It was only this size. It was just 7 millimeters. You can imagine how small the scale is. And this was a root, or I'm sorry, yeah, this was one of the floating roots of the banyan tree. When I say banyan tree, you all know where I would have taken the picture. Look at the floating root of the banyan tree and look how big it looks. That's what it is. And a sort of a semi-grown grasshopper. You can see the wings that are there. And this one will molt into the final stage of the milkweed painted grasshopper. This is the intermediate stage. But just look at the colors. Oh my God. Absolutely. Can you believe anybody dressed like this going out on the road? I think I will start a new, apparel line called the Poochie line, where you have all these creatures and all these dresses. I think we should start a revolution like that. Amazingly fantastic, what I say, praying mantis. And the crazy silver line butterfly. Can you believe? I leave it to you to decide which is the front end, which is the back end. I'm sure most of you will recognize it. But in the beginning, it was such a great, what do you say, experience to photograph this in both ways. How fantastic it looks. And to end my presentation, I have just 3 slides where I wanted to say that where have I taken macro photography and my love for insects and my respect for insects to the next stage. So what I started doing was, when I explored various possibilities, I said, why not I create abstract art with my insect photographs? So what I did was, I sampled the colors in the photographs, digital sampling of the colors, and then I started creating these, you know, digital paintings. So these are all digital paintings, and I'm very happy to say that people have also purchased these paintings. I'm so thrilled that actually they feel that it is worth buying and putting up in their houses. So the orange color that you see here, the brown color, the green color, they're all sampled from the photographs. I will show you one more picture. So just look at this lovely, abstract. This is total abstract art, and I found that this has also got a name. This is called abstract expressionism. That's what it's called. And so this is what I'm creating nowadays. I take photographs of insects. I immediately come back home. I sample the colors and I start creating this art. So maybe for those of you who are interested or inclined towards the art, I'll be most happy to give another presentation some other time. We'll check that. And finally, I took all the pictures. And this is exactly what I created. It's a lovely, and I was so happy that some of the students, when I was talking to NIFT, they all said, "What a great line of handbags this can make! What a great line of apparel it can make!" I mean, that's true. When an artist combines with nature, the result is brilliant. It's only synergy. Just look at the different colors. So you can create the same thing. You see nature with colorful eyes. Forget about all the scientific terms. Forget about the fact that you have knowledge. Why is that bird there? Vijay Kumar was just saying, when you look at a bird, why is it there? Is it the correct thing? Why is it coming there? Is there something wrong with the ecosystem? Or are we lucky for that bird to have adopted this place as its home? And we're all very thrilled that it's there. Now, that is the type of inquisitive mind that is very important for conservation of nature. Same thing I started doing it. Why is the insect there? Why this? So I also look at, if there are this many insects, will it be able to sustain a population of bats, birds, etc.? That's what it is. So thanks for allowing me to give this presentation. And so my quest continues, and I hope to bring up even more and maybe discover strange creatures that are still hidden from all of us. And that's what makes life so beautifully interesting. Okay, I just wanted to ask one question to the organizers. I just wanted to show the two small video clips of the wasp stunning the caterpillar and carrying it away. Do we have time for it? It's
Yeah,
only
yeah,
30 seconds each.
yeah. Please go ahead, Puchi.
Thank you. So I will stop the share of the screen. And as I've been advised, thanks for telling me how to do the share screen. Okay, so I'm now going to the VLC media player. Now, first, let me make sure that I've got the right. Just give me a second. Just have to get to the correct. Yeah, so this is the correct one. Now I will go to the Zoom meeting. Yeah, I'm going to be going to VLC share. Okay, just give me a second. It says. Yes, I think now it will come because it says that meeting is invalid. Just okay. Can I just come out of this and then come in again, because it says that VLC media player is invalid. So I'm not sure how to. Can anybody advise me on how to get it done? Because it says that that VLC is invalid. Should I just share
Venkat,
the screen?
Venkat,
Yeah.
Venkat, not you, Puchi.
Oh yes,
Uh,
yes, yes. Please.
Venkat, we had actually tested it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had
So,
tested it, but now it says the
No,
screen is
stop.
invalid.
The what's invalid? Yeah.
It says that the screen is invalid. Wait. I think now it's come. Now it's come.
It's
Yeah,
got it.
yeah, yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah, are you able to see the VLC?
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so if you notice in the center, before I play the video, there is that caterpillar that was actually crawling across the floor. You can see that it's a cemented floor. It was actually crossing the path. Then there is this beautiful, what do you say, parasitic wasp, or that what we call the spider hunter wasp, always prowling in that area. And it sighted this fat caterpillar, and look what it tries to do. And look what the caterpillar does in defense. You see, it has actually kicked off and it comes back again. It again comes back. And you see the way it's trying to stun it with that chemical at the end of its, what to say, abdomen. It's actually injecting, and the injection is successful. Yes. Now let me play the next video. Are you able to see that also?
Yeah.
Now you see the way the carries it away. It gets tired in the beginning. Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to show you these two videos, because the most interesting thing was that to check. Okay, let me just let's say stop the share. Yeah. So the interesting thing was I have started collecting a lot of videos of these insects' behavior, which I find very significant, because of course, taking photographs is absolutely the most beautiful way. But like Vijay Kumar so beautifully said about how one bird is trying to mimic the body movement of another bird. Now, that is what is most interesting. Why do they do that? What is the significance? So I have sort of taken a lead and started collecting a lot of video clips. I hope that sometime in the future, maybe we can try to, let us say, play the videos, or maybe I can also upload it to our, YouTube channel, so that we can make a nice collection of it for everybody else to enjoy and take a look. Yeah, okay, so that's the presentation. Thank you very much for Eminence to give me this. I'm so happy to. In fact, I just wanted to share one interesting point. When I went through my presentations, you see, I have preserved every single presentation I have done to any group, I have preserved right from the beginning. And I find that the last time I presented to MNS was in 2012. So after 8 years, I'm presenting again. So thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Poochi. Um, Absolutely fascinating. Like a lot of people have posted in the chat box saying that it's an amazing presentation and talk that you gave. And there are no questions, there are only accolades for you. So,
I
what
think
I
there
would
was
like
one
to.
question. There was one question, I think.
Yeah, I'll come to you. I'll come to
Yes,
you.
please.
I'll come to you.
Yes, please. Yes,
So
please.
there is, uh, during the course of the talk, thoughts that went through my mind was, are you
Yes, please.
talking to us about macro photography? Are you showing us insects? Are you showing us the skill that one needs to have in order to photograph? Or is it about admiring nature? Is it about, capturing it and then looking at it at a later point in time and admiring it? But I think one distinct, very, very distinct message which you have got across, at least I picked it up and I continued to build on that particular message in my mind, is that you have said that it is not enough to see, and what is important is to observe. I think that is it's a great lesson. It's a great takeaway from your talk. At least that's been the takeaway for me. And also the fact that you could start a Poochi line. I understand that you teach at NIFT, and I do not know what you teach. Maybe you teach. I think you probably teach photography there. I think you should encourage a lot of those kids to take away the wonderful designs that nature has given to
Yes.
all the insects that are there around us. And like you rightly said, all we need to do is to look around the magical world, as you called. Look around the magical world that is there around us, and then we see, not just see, but observe the magical world that is there around us, and then there's a lot of things that go into our subconscious, which will help when we look at what and understand what conservation is all about. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic, phenomenal. The only question to you is, what macro lens do you use?
Okay. Okay. So I do use a variety of lenses. I mean, if you talk about a macro lens, right now the best one is the Tamron 90mm. The Tamron 90mm is outstanding because it has got a greater resolving power as compared to the Canon 100 mm macro lens. Even though the Canon 100 mm goes faster for autofocusing, in macro photography, never use autofocus. Always use manual focus because the objects are too small. They're too small to be focused on. So even though Canon has got faster autofocusing, the resolving power of let's say Tamron is better. But I experiment. So what I've been doing is I have taken a Zeiss. Listen to this carefully. This is absolutely hilarious what I tried. I took a Zeiss portrait lens. I attached extension tubes and I've started shooting macro with the Zeiss lens. And I tell you, my God, nothing compares with the Zeiss lens. Zeiss is Zeiss. Whatever you say, optics absolutely mind-boggling. So some of the sharpest and the most beautiful pictures in my collection have come from that weird jugaad that I did. Took a portrait lens, added a what do you say extension tube, but converted it into a macro lens. It's absolutely fantastic. So I do have plenty more pictures, and well, there was another question. They said, how do you organize your pictures?
Yeah.
Am I right? Yeah.
Yeah. How do you store and organize your pictures? Yeah.
Okay, the storage is on hard disks and on what do you say optical disks. I have two backups, and I use a special disk called the M disk that is virtually indestructible. It costs a lot more money, and it requires a special optical drive to write onto what do you say M disks. I have them with me. I also have hard disks in which I store all these pictures. And only those that I use for presentations, I keep them in my Google Drive or my iCloud Drive because it's easy. Wherever I am, I can access those pictures and I'll be able to. Of course, I have an Instagram account in which I also keep posting some of these pictures every now and then. Not very regular on it, but some of those pictures are also there. Occasionally, I have also clicked with my mobile phone because I find that the mobile is very handy when you see something for the first time. The mobile is an extremely handy instrument with which you can at least take a reference picture because you don't know tomorrow whether it is going to be there or not. Then you don't regret, "Ayyo, na padame edukliye, I have not taken a picture." No, even if it is very small, it is fine. At least you have a record of taking the picture. That's how I store them.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, everybody saw the composition of all your pictures, and I think it's amazing.
Thank you.
But the beauty, the thing is, I think over a period of time, the composition naturally happens in your head. So I don't think you wait to compose it. The composition happens for Poochie. You know, that is the thing. You know, Poochie Venkat and the Poochies around him have a symbiotic relationship. They compose themselves for you. You know, that is very clear from some of the pictures there. Yeah.
No, the one thing I
Now,
just
there
want
is
to add,
another question. There's
yes,
another question that says, is
yeah.
there a season you like more than others to spot Poochies?
Nothing at all. Insects are such creatures that they're available all through. They're perennial. Only thing is, insects are seasonal in the sense that you will find a certain type of a bug on certain times of the year.
Correct.
But if you're a Poochie specialist or if you're interested in insects, then all through the year you keep having. So in my study, what I do is I don't just stop with taking photographs. 1 year later, I go back to the same location to see whether the same insect is there or has it been modified, has it changed its behavior. I've noticed a lot of I've noticed a lot of spiders behaving strangely. One spider species behaves like another spider species. So I'm wondering, just like Vijay Kumar pointed out, one bird trying to copy the body movement, is a spider trying to copy the body movement of another spider just because it might want to hide itself, or is it trying to get the food? So I do that. So the study, which I don't talk about too much, is I actually do a lot of research after I take the picture. I sit down calmly. I go to the internet. I ask my friends, 2, 3, what do you say, entomologists in Madras Christian College and other places. I send them the photographs. They identify the species, and I have the names for almost all of them. I have the names. But in the beginning, it is the interest you show. After that, if you want to qualify yourself professionally, by all means, please go ahead. Please become an entomologist, and ultimately you would be contributing your worth to nature.
Yeah, but, I mean, your interests are so varied. It's amazing. I mean, you are interested in these large, huge mechanical machines
Monsters.
that move on tracks called the railway.
Correct.
Yeah, a train, and then the tiniest ant that one can find on a tree. All right, great.
Yes.
Poochie,
Thank
I
you.
think that was amazing, absolutely amazing. Maybe
Thank you once again.
we will not wait for another 8 years. We will
Sure.
perhaps wait for another year or so for you to bring all your,
Yes.
bring all your videos together
Yes.
and
Absolutely.
combine
Yeah.
all of them to give us a wonderful, presentation on the hidden world, or sorry, the magical world of Poochie's again. Right.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot, Poochie.
Thank you very much. Yeah, my pleasure.
very, very good and very, very interesting.
Thank you,
Thank
Vijay,
you
for the
very much.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Bye bye. See you.